What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. The UFC is dead, but I'm not. I'm back. I'm here to produce more content for you guys. The UFC's still dead with this week, even though we had an off week last week. We've got Derek Lewis versus Teixeira. I'm going to be breaking down the entire card, going over the early prelims all the way up to the main card, and breaking down each fight in between. Now, if you would like to win some money, join my Tapology group. This is completely free. All you have to do is make fight picks the same exact way I am on this page right here. The way we're going to be doing fight picks is the same way you would be. And that's how you'll earn money by winning the competition in my Tapology group. This comes out of my own pocket, so just feel free to join. You can win money. I've won it the last 2 weeks in a row, so I haven't had to pay anybody. So, it's nice. But, yeah, we have me joining right here, but that's just to show that there are requests and it's open and you guys can join it. You go to tapology.com/groups/2048, and then you can join the group. You'll have to make a Tapology account, but that's it. It's free to do all of this. It's just a website for your own picks. Helps you keep track of your own picks and percentages and stuff like that. Join the group. That will be down in the description below as well. If you don't know how to find Tapology, I will have a link to it in the description. I'm not sponsored by them or anything because I don't have sponsors. Derek Lewis versus Teixeira, though. This is the entire card. We're going to break it down. Early prelims to the main event. We're going to start with a women's fight, so we do this. We will be going with the huge favorite here of Fatima Klein. The coin knows all. It looks like it could end up being a decision. You know, maybe she gets a finish. Make sure we didn't pick Melissa Martinez by accident. All right. Moving on to Mike Davis versus Mitch Ramirez. This is the first fight of the evening. We have a pretty solid underdog yet again. Mitch Ramirez is a terrible fighter in my opinion, just not worth being in the UFC. And Mike Davis is an actual good all-around fighter. He's very well-rounded. Grappling is very solid. Striking's just good. This should be an easy Mike Davis win. I feel like it could end up being a finish, especially seeing as how this guy has lost to leg kicks from Thiago Moises. I will be picking... I'm going to pick Mike Davis by submission in round number 2. I think that he's going to be able to implement his own ground game after working some good striking, because he does have decent boxing. His striking really good. Or he came from Tiger Muay Thai, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Or he used to train in Tiger Muay Thai. You know what? We're going round 2 KO. Ground and pound finish. Next, we move to the heavyweight division. We've got Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Walter Walker. I'm going to be taking the underdog here. I think this is a fantastic underdog pick. I don't know why Walter Walker, the real heavyweight in this situation, not just a blob fat guy like Nzechukwu has been beating. Walter Walker is going to submit Kennedy Nzechukwu very quickly. He's going to implement his grappling. He does that immediately in heavyweight fights. This dude actually, it's crazy to say it. This is a heavyweight fighter that has trained a little bit in his life. Wow. Right? That's fucking crazy. I'm going to be picking him by submission. Kennedy Nzechukwu is a decent light heavyweight guy who just does not have the muscle packed on for the heavyweight division. His skill set's mediocre, and he's also kind of dumb, too. So I'm going to be picking the bigger dumb guy to win. The bigger dumb, kind of smart dumb guy, you know? He has that, kind of smart dumbness to him. Where he'll, he's like a Waldo Cortez Acosta, where he understands the game plan of how to beat somebody else. So be careful, heavyweight. I think we've got a real contender on our hands. Top 15, maybe. Moving on to another fight. Will you win by any other form of winning? Is the question. You know what? I'm going to be picking Eduardo Mora to win by finish in the second round. I know that we are in Lauren Murphy's kind of backyard since we're in Tennessee. And you look at her. You tell me we aren't in her backyard. Fucking hideous meth-looking monster. Anyways, moving on to the next fight of the night in the welterweight division. I don't know if you got my pick. It was Eduardo Mora by round 2 knockout. Jake Matthews versus Chidi Njokuani. This is an actual decent fight between two prospects, young prospects. Chidi Njokuani being 36 and Jake Matthews being 30. I really like both dudes' chances in this fight. I think this is practically a 50-50 matchup. Jake Matthews' grappling is very solid, and if he implements it literally at all, Chidi Njokuani is going to have a massive problem beating him. I am going to be picking Chidi Njokuani. I think his performance against Aleski Dos Santos, that's the kind of performance you need to beat a Jake Matthews. And Jake Matthews tends to fight, I don't even want to say at the level of his competition. He just has these weird performances. He's I don't know. I can't trust Jake Matthews until he actually gets on a nice, solid win streak. I will be picking Njokuani by decision, though. I'm not sure if he'll be able to finish Jake Matthews. His clinch and knee elbow game are nasty, so I could see him getting a finish by his elbows or knees. So look for that if you're going to be picking, a finish by him. Was he an underdog as well? Oh, it's a near even. They're both about the same. I have some solid underdog picks for this fight, or for this card, I think, so stay on the lookout. Chris Curtis versus Max Griffin. I think this is a fantastic fight for Chris Curtis, moving down to the welterweight division. I know normally it's lighter man skill, blah, 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 this, that. They're both old men. They both already have their skill sets fully developed, and Max Griffin's one of these dudes who doesn't have that lighter man skill. I'm going to be honest. Chris Curtis has very solid boxing. He tends to stay behind his Philly shell and just come forward with a very basic game. Now, if Max Griffin comes out with any kind of footwork at all, which we really don't see that typically from Max Griffin, like any kind of good circular, non-linear, straight back and forth movement, if he comes out with any kind of movement like that, he's going to give Chris Curtis fits, but he never does. So I assume Chris Curtis is going to get this job done pretty easily. He shouldn't be as much of a favorite as he is on Tapology. They have picked him by 95%, which is crazy. Chris Curtis can literally just get hurt, and at a better rate than 5%. I will be picking Chris Curtis. Might not be the best decision to do, because at least Max Griffin's a win one, lose one, and he has lost his last one, so maybe he comes out and beats Chris Curtis. But I will be picking Chris Curtis to win a decision. I think he'll just batter him over the 3 rounds, and that'll be kind of it. There will be a very clear skill gap, and Max Griffin's probably done after that. Moving on to one of the best fights you're ever going to see as a main card opener. Wow, fucking incredible that this guy's on it. Junior Tafa versus Taco Tacos. Tacos. This guy loves... I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Neither one of these dudes should be in the UFC. One of them has knockout power, the other doesn't. That's just how it goes. I'm gonna be picking Junior Tafa by knockout. I don't want to pick him. I hate picking any Tafa. They are terrible. They aren't good fighters. Their skill set is. I have knockout power. I'm good though. It is what it is. I love picking UFC when it's these horrifically skilled guys for some reason in the best company for MMA. The premier organization. Yet we have to deal with guys like this, like what we're dealing with in the next card or fight that I'm picking. Vitor Petrino versus Austin Lane. We have the guy who lost to Dustin Jacoby and Anthony Smith, moved up to heavyweight now, versus a guy who's lost to everyone except Rebels to Spain. I will be picking Vitor Petrino to win by knockout in round number 1. I don't like Austin Lane. I don't know why he's in the UFC. At least Vitor Petrino won UFC fights before he started losing them. Moving on to an actual fun fight had this happened, last year maybe. Nate the Train versus Morgan Charrier. We've got Nate Landwehr taking on Morgan Charrier. Very, very good fight, but I just don't think Nate Landwehr's chin is where it used to be. This dude's gone through so many wars. He has really tested the endurance of his chin, and it's been met. I sadly think that Morgan Charrier is going to batter him, beat him up, then knock him out. Nate Landwehr is very fun to watch fight. I hope he wins. But Morgan Charrier's power is pretty devastating. He hurts almost everyone that he fights, and then, he finishes off a lot of the others. I've got him by round 2 knockout. I think he's going to hurt Landwehr early, and then maybe Landwehr toughs it out, but gets finished in the late second, or mid-second, I mean. You know what? I'm going first round. First round finish. This is going to be a first round. Moving to the feature fight of the evening. We've got Calvin Kattar versus Steve Garcia. Featherweight matchup. Calvin Kattar's on a 4-fight losing streak. Steve Garcia's on a 5-fight win streak, at least, to my knowledge. He definitely has 5 fights in a row on Tapology here. And, man, this is a hard fight to call. Say what's up to the Lemon Cat. She just hopped up here for her weekly visit of the UFC picks. Calvin Kattar versus Steve Garcia is a hard matchup to call, man. You have Calvin Kattar, who is by all means at the end of his career, versus a guy who is very young, not very young, young and hungry. He is young and hungry. Wants to be in the rankings, and Calvin Kattar has that ranking. I think Steve Garcia is going to come out pushing the same exact pace he normally does. If he does not get clipped and knocked out, he's going to put a pressure on Calvin Kattar at pace. He grapples. That's something that Calvin Kattar does not like. He has more means to win the fight. He can knock out Calvin Kattar. He can take him down and not, submit him probably, but he can take him down and kind of control him out for enough of the round after landing some significant shots on the feet. I've got Garcia winning this fight, but I think it's a very close fight. I think this is like a 60-40 kind of matchup. Calvin Kattar has a real shot to win this fight, because it's not like he looked terrible in the Yusuf Zalal fight. He looked slow early, but Yusuf Zalal's footwork was very, very obnoxious and good. He was poking, prodding, constantly just making sure that Calvin Kattar was missing shots. And then in the third round, he just really turned it on and ran the entire time in the third round. While Calvin Kattar was just swinging big shots at him. I think Steve Garcia won't do something similar, but he will beat him by decision over time. So I've got Calvin Kattar losing by decision. Moving on to Stephen Thompson versus Gabriel Bonfim. This is one of those matchups that I just don't understand what I don't see it. I don't see what everybody else sees. 74% of people are picking Gabriel Bonfim, and he is the heavy favorite on betting odds as well. I am going to be picking Stephen Thompson by decision. I think that Stephen Thompson was beating Yoquan Buckley very soundly at that. Like, very soundly. Yoquan Buckley, see, even Lemon's getting involved here. She just chirped in. She said, yeah. But, Gabriel Bonfim, his grappling level, his offensive takedowns are not to the level of Buckley, and his control on top, he may be better at controlling than Buckley. But I just have a feeling that Stephen Thompson's going to be able to get back up if he does get taken down at all. And he was outstriking Buckley at range every time until he got clipped. Bonfim does not have the same explosivity. He does not have the same striking level as Buckley. He doesn't have the same kind of aggressiveness either. If he fights at that like slow kickboxing pace, Stephen Thompson is going to do very well in that. Like Bonfim's going to have to pressure him very smartly with grappling, and I just don't know that that's in his skill set because he has never shown that he does that. Like there are guys he has beaten by, like the guys he's beaten by doing this just don't, I don't know. It doesn't impress me. So if he beats Stephen Thompson, submits him, it'll be impressive to me because Stephen Thompson, although people have said he gives up his back or gives up his neck a lot, stuff like that, he has only been submitted one time, if I'm not mistaken, by Shavkat, who was having a lot of trouble taking him down, and I don't care what you say about injuries. He's always injured, so it's not an excuse. If you're always injured, you don't have the excuse of, oh, I was injured. Anyways, I'll be picking Stephen Thompson by decision. I think he wins this fight. I think he's going to outpoint and he's going to be able to outpoint Bonfim at range very easily. I think that the offensive takedowns and wrestling threat of Bonfim is not good enough, and he just will not get Stephen Thompson down enough to win the fight. Because he won't land any damage on the feet. If he does win, it will be by flash knockout or he gets him down and can control him. But I don't think he'll be able to control him. Anyways, moving to the main event of the evening, we've got Derek Lewis versus Taliesin Teixeira. I don't know who to pick. Teixeira has no evidential proof that he will beat Derek Lewis other than he's young and he's massive. And he has all finishes in his last 5 fights, all within 2 years. And Derek Lewis has been losing to people by finish, typically, outside of Jailton Almeida. I guess I'm going to be picking Derek Lewis to land that big shot. I think that Taliesin Teixeira will probably be touching him up at range. He does kind of run into shots, though, to be fair. I think that Derek Lewis will be getting touched from range, but he just will land that shot. I don't know. I'm going to be picking first round knockout, maybe second. First round knockout. I could very easily see this going and Derek Lewis just not being knocked out by the first shot, but, folding to the first shot that Taliesin Teixeira actually lands. Like, he just does his Derek Lewis thing, balls up and curls up against the fence and just kind of quits. I could see that. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. Taliesin Teixeira is the favorite. It's just one of those things, like, I just think that Derek Lewis will land the shot. It would not surprise me in the slightest if he does not at all. Young heavyweights, to be fair, are not typically the best at moving. Can you get off me? young heavyweights typically aren't the best at moving and stuff like that, so maybe Derek Lewis does catch him because he's so big and so plodding and slow. So that's what I'm going to be picking him to do. I have Derek Lewis by knockout. We will save the picks. And now we will go into the picks again and check what we did. Got Derek Lewis by round 1 knockout. I've got Stephen Thompson by decision. Steve Garcia by decision. Morgan Charrier by round 1 KO. Vitor Petrino by round 1 KO. Justin Tafa by round 1 KO. Chris Curtis by decision. Chidi Njokuani by decision. Eduardo Mora by round 2 TKO. Walter Walker by submission. Mike Davis by KO. Maybe submission on that one. I would probably pick submission. And Fatima Klein by decision. Something makes me really want to lean submission here. But yeah, that's the picks for the night. Take it easy, guys. I will see y'all. Hopefully, I'll be doing a companion. I don't know yet. You know how it is. I'm lazy. I'll see you guys for the fight recap at least. Bye. Don't forget to like and subscribe, I guess. Fucking, that makes the payment of Tapology go up if you subscribe. The count will go up for the money. The pot goes up weekly. So subscribe and then join the Tapology so you can earn the money. I don't know. Bye.